Have you ever had the funny feeling that your spouse, your partner, a good friend, or a parent is trying to sabotage your attempts to go out and get help for your mental health struggle? That maybe it's not even a funny feeling, maybe it's obvious and very overt, that they're doing and saying things to try and stop you from getting help, from getting support, from healing, from recovering, from dealing with whatever it is that you're struggling with. What's going on with that? Why would somebody who loves us and cares about us want to stop us from getting better? Well, there's lots of things that can be going on with this one, and we're going to talk about them today, and we're also going to talk about what we can do about it. My name is Julia Christina, and I am a registered therapist, researcher, and online course creator. And I have a master's degree in counseling psychology, and I work to help men and women get through the stuff that is holding them back so they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And this is a confusing one. Why, if we're trying to get better, we're trying to get help, we're trying to recover, we're trying to deal with our stuff, would a loved one want to stop that, want to get in the way of that, want to prevent us from doing that? And there's a few reasons for it. We're going to talk about the three biggest ones today, and I'm also going to give you a bonus one, and then we're going to talk about what to do about it, because it might seem on the surface that they're just being mean or they're just being difficult, but there's always reasons why we do things. There's so much more with us as human beings. There's so much more going on underneath the surface. So the first reason why they might be doing this is because they worry that if you go to therapy and start talking about your struggles, that whether it's justified or not, they might fear that you're going to start talking about them, and then you're going to blame them for your problems. That they have this deep down fear that, well, I spend all this time with him or her, and we are with each other a lot of the time, and maybe they're going to come to this realization, or they're going to somehow discover that this is all my fault, and I won't be there to tell my side of it, or I won't be there to defend myself. And nobody likes the idea of someone talking about us behind our back, or somebody just talking about us without us being there. And whether or not they have anything to do with your struggles, it's still this funny feeling that, like, what are they going to be talking about? What are they going to be saying? Could this come back on me and I get blamed for it without me even knowing, without me being able to say anything or do anything about it? So that is a big one. It's a really insecure feeling that a lot of people, a lot of loved ones might have. The next one is, this one is particularly true if it's a boyfriend or girlfriend or a spouse, or a partner, that they might fear that you're going to go to therapy, you're going to go to group therapy, or you're going to go to a support group, and you're going to start talking about what's going on. And maybe, like in the first one, you're going to start realizing that all of this is their fault, whether or not that's justifiable, whether or not they have anything to do with it. They might just have that fear. And then maybe even this fear that you're going to decide to leave them, that you're going to come to some sort of aha realization that you're better off without them, that they are the ones that are causing your mental health struggles, if it's depression or anxiety or whatever it is, that all of a sudden you're just going to show up one day after your appointment or after your group session or whatever it is and say, it's your fault, I'm leaving you, we're done, you're bad for me. And that's a really scary feeling. That's actually a really real feeling for a lot of people who are in couples when one person decides to go for help, for therapy or for group therapy, or do some kind of support group or something like that. That's a really real feeling for them. It's a really real fear. And so obviously they wouldn't want you to go if somewhere in the back of their mind, or maybe even right in the front of their mind, screaming out, they're feeling like, oh no, this person, if they go to therapy, they're going to leave me. So that is a really big one. And then the next one, and this one can happen in any kind of close relationship. It can happen with a parent and a child. It can happen with a spouse or partner. It can happen with a good friend, that maybe they felt really valued, really needed by you as you've been struggling with your mental health stuff, with your anxiety or depression or whatever it is, that they have been the person that you have relied on, that you have needed, that you have leaned on. They've been kind of almost like your savior, where they've come in when you've been spiraling or maybe panicking, and they've been the one that's been able to calm you and ground you and help you get through that. Or if you're in a really deep depressive stage and feeling really down, and they've been the person that's been there to comfort you and support you and be there for you, and you've really relied on them for that and needed them for that, and they've felt this sense of worth, that they've felt really valued, they felt important in your life, playing that role. So then what happens if you go and you heal? What happens if you go and work through this? What happens if things get better for you and you're not in that space anymore, that you're not as dependent on them in that way? That they fear that, what will I do? Will they need me? Maybe they'll realize they don't need me and then they'll leave me. That could be one of them. Or they realize, what will our relationship look like? I don't know what a relationship looks like with somebody who doesn't need me like this. And some of what can be involved there is something called codependency. Now, I don't know if you've heard about codependency or if you know very much about it. In my next video, and as soon as that one's done, I will put the link below, but I'm going to do a video all about what codependency is. But just in a nutshell, for the sake of this talk today, that codependency is about needing to be needed. So finding a lot of worth, finding a lot of our value, finding even maybe a lot of our self-esteem from being needed by somebody else. So what happens if that person if we all of a sudden don't need them? What do? So there might be that fear. So a lot of this is around fear. It's not really that they don't care about you, that they don't want you to heal, to work through, to overcome this stuff. It's that they're scared. You can see that there's this like undercurrent of fear going through all of these. And then our bonus one. And this is one that's a little less common, but it can definitely happen as well. So this one happens if your partner or your good friend, or maybe even if it's a parent, they also have a mental health struggle. If they're also in the middle of some kind of mental health challenge, if they're dealing with anxiety or depression or whatever it is, and you go off and decide that you're going to go into recovery, that you're going to go get help, that you're going to go get support, you're going to go deal with your struggles, deal with whatever it is you're facing. And they might feel like they're not ready, or they don't want to, or they're not in a place where they can do it right now. And so they might fear that you're going to go off, you're going to get better, you're going to heal, and you're going to be great and happy and wonderful or whatever, and leave them behind. That you're going to leave them to suffer alone. And that's a real saying, that misery loves company, that sometimes it makes us feel better when we're not suffering alone, when there's somebody else that's struggling and suffering with us. So again, the fear of being left behind. So what do we do about this one? How do we deal with this one? And it's not all that complicated. One of the things that can help the most when something like this is happening, when we feel this resistance or feel this sabotaging, is sometimes more is more. Sometimes talking more about it, being more open and honest, being more transparent, letting them in more will help more. You know, the saying is less is more, but in this case, it's the opposite, that more is more. That reassuring them, I mean, it doesn't mean you have to tell them every single detail about your therapy session or your group session or whatever it is, that you can tell them what you feel comfortable telling them, but letting them know what has been going on, what your process has been like, what you have been talking about that you feel comfortable sharing with them, and reassure them that you're not, if this is the case, that you're not planning to pack your bags and leave, that this isn't about them, that this is about your own stuff. You wanting to heal, you wanting to get better, you wanting to feel good, you wanting to feel happy and enjoy your life, and that you intend to bring them along with you, that you're not planning to leave them behind, and just communicating through it, letting them know your process, letting them know what's going on, that more is more. And this can really help them kind of quell those fears, to really ease some of their worries around this. It's a big deal. It can cause a lot of anxiety. It can cause a lot of upset for both people. So to be taking this seriously and really looking at what might be going on in this situation. I also have a free download for my 7 surprisingly effective ways to deal with anxiety. Speaking of anxiety, that these are just simple little tips and tools and tricks and strategies that you can use anytime, any place, that they're simple and straightforward. And I will put the link in here so that you can make sure that you grab that, go and download it, and you'll have that. And they're ones that you can try. Start trying them right now. They're good for when we're struggling with anxiety, when we're feeling really ramped up, to kind of help calm us, help bring us back down to planting our feet on the ground when we're feeling really worked up. So make sure that you grab that. Also, if you are new and haven't yet, make sure that you do subscribe, that you like this one, that you share it out, and that you leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you found helpful in this, and I'd love to have more of a conversation with you about it. And until next time, take good care.